Welcome to the Global Addiction Therapeutics Innovation Day.
So maybe as we are setting the stage, right, and actually Hamburg has a lot of famous theaters, at least for those that are German speaking, and for all the others there are a lot of very interesting musical theaters, right, so that's language free. So, I mean, we'll have a bit of a sense of the setting the stage here. And so my name is Anja Busse, as you can see there, and while I was wearing a different hat for the last 20 years, I'm now here joining on behalf of the World Health Organization, and very happy. Thanks for ISAM for having us, thanks for the University of Hamburg for having us, and maybe just as a very small disclaimer, because all my travel has been paid fully by WHO, right? There was no industry involvement in any of my presence here, just to make that clear as I start my presentation. And what I will speak about are a few kind of ideas or suggestions how the work of WHO and the structures of WHO can possibly be used kind of to advance innovations, or kind of how we have already kind of translated innovations into practice. So just to say that WHO does have an innovation hub, but you can pick it up on the website, and the vision of it is a world where innovation drives health equity, accessibility, and positive health outcomes. You can see, a lot of collections of good ideas, the things that you would imagine. So, for example, the drones delivering vaccines and all of that is collected there at the Innovation Hub. But it's really guided and governed by this direction around innovation for the common good, right? So in this publication here, it's really discussed how we should design an ecosystem for common good, and how that would require a major shift from a model where innovation is driven only by market, right, or primarily by market focus, to a model that's collectively governed in the public interest, right? So, and often it's kind of it's academia or kind of public funding that's also driving common good, so to say, and maybe in industry funding it's a bit more focused towards, or needs to be focused also towards financial interests, right? So we need to see that, and we need to be aware as we are talking about innovation that the basic science has not been translated into practice and implementation for the vast majority of people, right? Just reminding again that 1 in 11 people does not have access to any form of treatment of drug use disorders, and also innovations kind of often more targeting needs of people in high-income countries than in low-income countries. So what's proposed is kind of a new ecosystem really around a common good, and I think that, so to say, have in the back of our minds as we are discussing today will be great. Also, just to say that innovation we can really think should happen around all the circle, kind of from identifying needs and gaps to articulating priorities, facilitating innovation, generating the evidence, formulating recommendations, implementing evaluation, and then the cycle continues, right? So while today we will focus more on therapeutics, I think also in other areas innovation is much welcomed and needed. So what I will speak about is a bit WHO, let's say, format, which hopefully can help with the availability or having new therapeutics, then around quality control, accessibility, where there is kind of another WHO line that maybe can be used, and assessing feasibility of implementation in different settings, and then innovation around monitoring if we still have time. So let me come to the first one, innovation and availability, and I'll make that as a specific example around especially medications for stimulant use disorders. So WHO has done an evidence review for non-specialized healthcare settings and made a recommendation that at this moment certain medications such as dexamphetamine, methylphenidate, and so on are not recommended for treatment of cocaine or stimulant use disorders in non-specialized healthcare settings, right? Nevertheless, given also the situation situation. Many were speaking the European focus here with crack cocaine in some regions of Germany, Germany as well, but Europe, methamphetamine in other parts of Germany, and of course worldwide. I mean, it will be important to see if we can have more better scalable therapeutics, medications for treatment of stimulant dependence. So, and there is an initiative you will hear about much more also today and from colleagues, which is by 3 agencies, UNODC-WHO and the European Drug Agency, around kind of promoting this type of research for both psychosocial and pharmacological treatment. So, and what I want to offer is us to think of if WHO product profiles can be an accelerator for something like this. So, or other examples you can think about, right? So WHO product profiles are written documents that describe the characteristics of a product required to meet global health needs, intended to facilitate the most expeditious development of products addressing the greatest and most urgent public health needs, right? And they are used maybe in similar ways as regulatory agencies sometimes put out their needs, right, and say, this is what we would like to see. For example, the FDA has done that for medications for stimulant dependence treatment, but this here is a process run by the World Health Organization, and it would really provide international guidance and coordination possibilities. I need to say that this has never been done for the field of substance use, right? So this would be new for us applying this in the field. So what we will need are products that are required to meet global health needs, and they can inform product developers, regulatory agencies, procurement agencies, funders about research and development needs and public health priorities. So features of a WHO product profile would be that there are clear product characteristics indicated, that it's aligned to a major public health need, that it's considering the end user perspective, it's about access and equity, also supporting ethical research and development of product development, facilitating stakeholder alignment, and an ease of review and accelerated guideline development. So, and why WHO product profiles? So one is to really incentivize research and development for health products aligned with public health priorities, then to demonstrate the likelihood of policy development and product purchasing, and to de-risk investment in health and product research and development. So here is a famous example, I think, that makes it more clear what I'm talking about. During the COVID-19 pandemic, there were target profiles developed for priority diagnostics for COVID-19, right? So the COVID tests, and for target product profiles for COVID-19 vaccine, and those kind of guided much the process of development. So there are different types of WHO product profiles. One are the preferred product characteristics, or the PPCs. Those are applicable to product classes of priority, but that are still in very early development. So when we are at the moment thinking of medications for stimulant dependence, as in our example, that would likely go in the direction of developing PPC. Then the target product profiles describe optimal characteristics for health products, include minimal essential characteristics for product usability. And then there are, as a third group, the target regime profiles that are applicable in disease areas that require multiple therapeutics to be combined in treatment regimes, like is the case, for example, in tuberculosis. So these are kind of examples from other health regions on both the PPCs, the TPPs, and the TRPs. So, and I hope at some point we all kind of see which of those might be helpful and how they could be helpful also for the area of addiction medicine. So, and this is the process kind of to develop a WHO product profile. So there are some similarities with the processes of developing guidelines, right? From identifying a need, bring a group together, doing the reviews, and then at the end publish and disseminate the target product profiles. So, and that was a little bit my first kind of suggestion and idea, to use kind of these target product profiles also more for the area of substance use. The next kind of I will highlight is around another WHO product or process around pre-qualification. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. And I'll apply it here again as an example around access to medicines. So as I said in my introduction, while we are thinking of new medicines, new therapeutics, the very basics like methadone and buprenorphine are only registered at best in half of countries, right? And accessibility drops massively when we think how accessible and free of charge, covered by health insurance, those are in the public sector. And similar for other medications in substance use, so especially for alcohol medications, for example. So WHO has a pre-qualification system that was established in the 80s, and the vision is to have good quality medicines for everyone. So what the pre-qualification team in WHO does, they do assessment and inspection visits, they build national capacity for manufacturers, regulating and monitoring, and they're working with regulating agencies to register medicines faster. And then when a company, a product is pre-qualified, it appears in a WHO list of pre-qualified in these different lists, right? For finished pharmaceutical products, for pharmaceutical ingredients, for laboratories, and there are different publicly available public inspection reports. So pre-qualification usually needs an expression of interest, including on a defined set of products. So at the moment there are discussions to see if very standard medications, methadone, buprenorphine, that have never gone through pre-qualification could eventually go through pre-qualification. Then manufacturers that want to have this WHO quality stamp would submit an application based on specific requirements, and sometimes there are pre-submission meetings. And then, so to say, they submit a report, the WHO pre-qualification team does the assessment, and if everything is up to standard, then the product would be listed in the pre-qualified, in a list of WHO pre-qualified products. Again, also this has never been done for any substance use medication. What we are thinking is that, including in this situation of the global crisis, where a lot of kind of, let's say, current funding and support mechanisms to make medications such as methadone and buprenorphine available also for lower income countries, that are now shifting more to consider also national production or purchasing from regional producers. This might be a good moment to think kind of to have this pre-qualification ongoing for manufacturers that are maybe, let's say, not as well known at the moment on the global market, and hopefully increase diversity of access to medications. So, and we hope that this, then again, pre-qualification can ensure quality, speed up national registration, guide which products are purchased by countries because they have the quality seal, but also which products would be purchased by international funders, such as the Global Fund. And well, so that was more or less the idea on the pre-qualification, right? So two different ways kind of how to either accelerate product development, that were the TPPs, or kind of accessibility of products. So I just want to have maybe 2 minutes on an example, how we have been able to translate the guidance from WHO guidelines, driven by science, of course, into practice. So you might be aware of the WHO guidance on opioid overdose management in the community. So between 2016 to 2021, together with UNODC, a feasibility study was implemented in low-middle income countries. And based on this feasibility study, we could demonstrate the feasibility of take-home naloxone schemes also for lower middle income country settings. And as we know, this is the first time that this was done in a systematic way. And the results are available in this SOS report. Other ways in which WHO is currently providing technical assistance is, for example, through a Unitate product around the long-acting depot buprenorphine, or low dead space syringes and needles. I need to come to an end, so I think I'll just tell you about monitoring that in principle UNODC, WHO together are the custodians of a Sustainable Development Goal indicator around coverage of treatment indications. But contact coverage, like the ratio between number of people using services and the number of people in need of services, is very hard to estimate for most of the countries. So WHO has developed a proxy indicator for that around service coverage, which has 300 indicators across 7 domains. And with this kind of service capacity index and data we're getting from countries, we hope to have a proxy now for contact coverage, and the Global Service Capacity Index for countries has been published in the Global Status Report on Health, Alcohol and Treatment Services last year. So in this report, exactly. And with this, I'm coming to closing. I just want to mention, kind of in terms of partnerships in innovation, that there will be our biannual forum on alcohol, drugs, and addictive behaviors to take place at the end of June. That is by registration only, but you can go to the website and drop a message. There will also be a public webinar on the 27th of June, and its focus will be on aligning efforts, strengthening solidarity and partnerships. And this is already Sanita. I think there's one slide I had taken out, but I just wanted to mention that WHO also counts on a network of collaborating centers and non-state actors in official relation with WHO, and I see some here in the room, and I just wanted to say that also that relation for us is very important in terms of driving innovation. So that was all for the 15 minutes. Thank you so much for your attention. There, last. Yeah, so I mean, the UN used to have a framework for public-private partnerships, which we have tried to explore once for this naloxone study, where kind of the UN could put out a need and then companies kind of could respond to the need in a very transparent way. I have to say we have tried that once, and it only, I mean, in the end it did not work, kind of for reasons I can explain you offline. So where kind of industry is involved in the processes that I have described here is in pre-qualification, right? Because pre-qualification, after, so to say, the standard is set by WHO, it's the companies that have to apply, right? So, and you know, there might be ways, but of course we also need to have very, very much due process in this regard, given, you know, as I said in the beginning, weighing kind of commercial interest versus common good interests, maybe to some extent. Thanks.
Organized by International Society of Addiction Medicine, sponsors and co-organizers, CNRE, Indivir, Spark Biomedical, Salofa, Ethifarm, University of Minnesota, European Union Drugs Agency, UK Office for Life Sciences,